Good evening. I'm now calling the meeting to order. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Roll call, we have 6 councilors present. We do have a quorum. Unfinished business. The next agenda item is unfinished business, proposal number 3, 2025, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, amending Title I, Article 2, Chapter 5 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lawrence, Indiana. This proposal was tabled by the committee on September the 2nd, 2025, and was not to be reopened for consideration until the council passed the budget for 2026. The council passed the 2026 budget, and this item is now open again for consideration and recommendation to the council. Do we have anyone that can speak on this proposal?
Nick Remmel, District Vice President for Lawrence Professional Firefighters. I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak again regarding the final ordinance updates needed to align with city code, with the police, EM Fire, CBAs. These updates focus on accrued time for post-2019 hires and improvements to the bereavement leave. In regards to accrued time updates, just kind of to recap, employees hired after January 1st, 2019 accrue vacation, holiday, and sick leave monthly, meaning they often start each year with little to no usable time because they're accruing it monthly. So as they use it, obviously they lose it. Employees hired before 2019 accrued their time during the previous year. So we went an entire year. We accrue our time the year before, giving them their full allotment available in every January. This allowed them to fully participate in vacation picks, manage family obligations early in the year, and navigate medical or unexpected events without delay. Why the change? Controller Fenwick, when he was here, saw that there was a unfunded liability for the city, and we see that as well, especially when we were doing the contract negotiations. We take note of that, and there is an unfunded liability, and quite frankly, it would bankrupt the city to pay, to allow people to continue to accrue time the way that they were. So, post-2019 employees simply don't have the ability, and this has created recruitment problems and challenges and retention issues, specifically on the police side, and unnecessary stress on new hires and their families. What these ordinance changes actually will do, these updates do not increase the annual benefits in regards to vacation time. They simply restore the functional availability that pre-2019 employees have always had. Let's talk about vacation time. Post-2019 employees will continue to accrue monthly. That won't change. However, the total accrual will be made available on January 1st, giving them equitable access to vacation picks and family flexibility. If an employee leaves before accruing all of the time they used, they repay the city for any unearned portion, protecting the city finances. So we're not asking for more, we're just asking for them to be allowed the full allotment in January so that they can use their time. Let's talk about sick leave. Pre-2019 employees are capped at 1,200 hours of sick time. Not unlimited, as sometimes it's misunderstood. It's not unlimited on the sick time. We get capped at 1,200 hours. When we retire, we are able to collect that 2-for-1, and so we can cash out up to 600 hours. Again, not really the most responsible thing, but that's the way that they've done business for years. For post-2019 hires, this ordinance raises the carryover cap from 200 hours to 600 hours, which is essential given the physical demands of police and fire work. These are careers built on running into hazardous environments, carrying heavy gear, lifting patients, repeated exposure to trauma, years of cumulative physical stress. It is common for injuries late in a career to not trace back to a single on-duty incident, but to the accumulated wear and tear of decades of service. That means many necessary surgeries and recoveries technically count as off-duty, even though the cause is rooted in the job. We currently have a firefighter recovering from foot surgery that was not classified as an on-duty injury. His medically required recovery time is 5 to 6 months. If he only had 200 hours, which he doesn't, but if he only had 200 hours, he would have 200 hours in a 24-hour shift. That's 8.3 shifts. With one Kelly day in that 8.3 shifts, that's 9.3 days. With our shift cycle, that totals an approximate 28 days off. That is 1 month of recovery for a 6-month medical requirement. Without a larger sick bank, employees in these situations face financial crisis, are pressured to return before medically ready, or must rely on hardship or disability leave unnecessarily. Why does that matter? The increased sick bank supports legitimate long-term recovery from surgeries, prevents premature return to duty, helps avoid more costly disability claims, supports FMLA, supports PEP contributions and sick vacation buyback, and encourages healthy recovery, not rushed recovery. We are fortunate to partner with Pro Team Tactical, who gets us back to work, who helps us prevent injuries and strengthen our recovery time so that we don't hopefully have to have surgery. Let's talk about holiday time. The ordinance increases holiday rollover from 96, hold on, let me double check that. Yeah, 96 hours to 250 hours for the post-2019 hires. Since public safety employees do not receive holiday premium pay, the city compensates them with bonus hours. Again, not the most financially responsible thing, since we cost more tomorrow than we do today. That's time off earned for working holidays. Increasing rollover allows better FMLA support, again, ability to save time for a specific future need, better long-term planning, minimum impact on unfunded liability, a benefit aligned with the values of the new generation who prioritize their time off. Let's talk about the bereavement leave. So current challenges, the existing bereavement policy is too narrow. It's antiquated. Provides too little time, requires consecutive shifts, does not reflect a modern family structure, and does not reflect the realities of public safety mental health. Why it needs to be updated. When a firefighter or police officer loses a loved one, they carry a dual burden. The personal emotional impact of the loss, the responsibility placed upon them by their families, because public safety workers are often the ones who guide decision-making during tragedies. Bereavement leave is a mental health necessity, not an interchangeable substitution for sick time. Sick time is for physical illness. Bereavement leave is for mental health, emotional stability, and safe return to duty. Expecting an employee to return to a high-risk job, operating fire apparatus, performing rescues, or carrying a weapon while experiencing raw grief is unsafe for the employee, their coworker, and the public. What the updated ordinance provides: expanded family definition, including aunts, uncles, significant others, and close affinity relationships. 72 hours for fire and 51 hours for police. Leave does not have to be used consecutively, offering flexibility for travel arrangements and mental processing. All bereavement leave must be approved by the chief or designee, ensuring staffing, stability, and oversight. These updates do not increase the annual accrual amounts other than the post-2019 for sick and holiday. They include a repayment mechanism for any unearned time, and they preserve the city finances. Improve recruitment and retention, support safer staffing, reduce burnout and injury, and strengthen the city's long-term workable workforce stability. They also support a long-term goal within the CBA, such as PEP, sick vacation buyback, and hardship leave. Just as a point of clarification, these are ordinance updates, not These are ordinance changes, not CBA changes. Before closing, I do want to address that there is a current misunderstanding. These updates are not changes to the CBA. Nothing we are presenting tonight alters or modifies or reopens the CBA in any way. All of this language, every detail on accrued time and bereavement was presented during negotiations, tentatively agreed to with the city, approved by both bargaining teams with the wording that the ordinance changes would be made or looked at. The ordinances simply need to be updated so the city code matches the CBA terms and the council, that the council and the city and the unions all agreed on. The council has requested a financial breakdown of these changes. I want to be very transparent with this. I cannot provide a credible, official, or audited financial impact statement. I am not an accountant, nor do I ever claim to be one. I do not manage the city's financial system, and any number I present to you, any number that I would present to you would be nothing more than a personal estimate, which would not serve the council, the administration, or the public. For this body to receive the level of accuracy and assurance it deserves, the financial breakdown must come from a source that the council trusts, the Comptroller's Office, the city's financial advisors, or any qualified fiscal authority chosen by the city. It is not appropriate or responsible for me to speculate on behalf of the city's finances. What I can tell you with confidence is that these changes do not increase annual leave amounts other than for those post-2019 for the sick and the holiday time. And they do not create any larger liabilities beyond aligning rollover caps with safe, modern, and competitive standards. A proper financial analysis must come from the city. So we believe these changes represent a thoughtful, financially responsible, modern update to personnel policies. They help us support new employees, protect long-serving ones, and maintain the morale and well-being of the people who protect this community every day. We respectfully request approval of the ordinance amendments as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, councilors?
I've requested to speak, please,
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair. Just a couple of questions. You said the request is for an increase to 72 hours for fire?
You're talking about bereavement?
For bereavement. And what was it for police?
50-something, 54.
Yeah, I think it was, 1 second. Bereavement. 51 hours for
51.
police.
And what is the current for fire and the current for police?
24 hours, so 1 shift off for fire, and then 3 shifts off for police.
So 24.
Yeah. I don't know if there's just 8-hour shifts or what, I'm assuming.
The other question I had was, you said the increase, the ordinance, the change that's being requested for holiday pay is from 96 to 256, correct?
200. Sorry, were you talking about the holiday?
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize. 250.
And that increase for 96 to 250 applies to
Post-2019.
Post-2019.
Yeah, pre-2019, and again, not the way I would have done it, but I can accrue as much holiday time in a bank as I
I
want
know.
for my whole career.
Right. You know why we had to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
100%.
So how many, on the fire side, because I know you can't speak for police, but on fire, how many post-2019 employees do we have?
I don't have a 100% accurate number, but I
Yeah,
would
give me
get
a rough.
probably about 30. And that number continues to grow, obviously.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going through my notes. I'm not understanding the correlation, well, I don't understand in sort of the statement you made about the example you gave of the firefighter who's, out for 5-6 months due to an injury. So FMLA is protected time, so I don't see how changing this ordinance would affect FMLA, which is a federally protected program. So
I understand.
I'll say that first. Secondly, why wouldn't those firefighters be eligible for short-term and long-term disability?
And that's saying they actually applied for that, but they should be, eligible for that. When it comes to the FMLA part, in order to use FMLA, I've got to use my time, right?
Right.
So if and I'm just talking about the post-2019, because the like, the person that I brought up in an example, he is pre-2019, so he's got time to cover. However, somebody that's hired post-2019, if they ran into the same situation where they were given 5 or 6 months, they're not given that time in January. They're not given anything up front, so they may not have an entire bank. Not to mention their sick time is only able to accrue up to 200 hours, as opposed to us at 1,200 hours. They're only able to, 200. They're only able to accrue 200 hours. And again, that only gives them about a month of sick time that they're able to use. Now, obviously, they'll get into other banks, but if they don't have those, so these kind of all work hand in hand, especially. So our worry is that in January, somebody has a major surgery. They have their 200 hours, they need 5 or 6 months. They don't have any of their vacation time. They've got their allotment for holiday time, so they'll be able to take some shifts off there, but then they won't have anything else to go off of.
Right, okay. And so I want to make sure, I understand what the request is. I'm a little perplexed that I am not in a good position to approve something when I don't understand what the financial liability is that we're taking on when we're already funding a portion of our budget in the reserves. I know that for many of these things, there is a cost. Somebody has to be able to tell us what that cost is. I don't see how we can just say whether this is a financially prudent decision or not. We can agree with the principle of why these things might be a good idea, but we can't make our decision just purely based on that. We have to base it on whether or not we can encumber the additional expense, because many of these things do have additional expenses to it. There's carrying costs for vacation. There's carrying costs for this stuff, which is why we reversed it back in 2019, because we simply could not afford to continue to do it. So I'm concerned about that. Another thing that you said is that you said that many of the, I'm sure you can quantify this. I believe that you said that, the longer you're on the job, the wear and tear of the job, the more apt you are to injury, et cetera. So if you were to quantify, the number of firefighters on average that are in that 2019 and later bucket versus the 2019 early bucket, who is really that firefighter that falls into that bucket of, because I would hazard to guess based on what you said, the younger ones aren't the ones that are typically getting injured. It's the ones that have been on the job longer. So if I'm going to change this ordinance, I'm not changing it to impact the people that are typically injured.
Right.
And they're already protected. So really, what am I doing?
Right. So obviously, older firefighters, we're not asking for any change on that. So younger firefighters do take inherently more risk, just time on the job. You learn how to operate safer. You know what your capabilities are in your body. But it wouldn't, just like you are looking out for the financial stability of the city for years down the road, I'm looking for their stability later down the road as well. So one day they will be the old guy, and so I am looking out and trying to think years in advance. how can we correct this now so that these guys do have a little bit of a bank to roll into?
So I think your job is to, if, I hear what you're saying, but it has to be the right time financially for the city to be able to take that on. You know, we don't know because we don't have the numbers. Is this year the year to do that? Is it once we get past this SBA 1 stuff? Is it, you know what I'm saying? These things are things that can be evaluated every year. I really need to understand, you're asking for a lot here. What are your priorities? If you have, I didn't count them, but if you have 7 changes that you're asking us to make, what are your top 3? I need to know, because we may not be able to afford to sign up for all this stuff in 1 year. We may be able to maybe look at 1 or 2 of them or 3 of them, and we might need to look at the next group the next year or following years as we recover financially, because we do need to recover financially before we continue to approve things that we know are hitting our bottom line. And that's, I'm speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for anybody else. But for me, that's what I would need to see. And so I don't know if the controller or whoever, somebody needs to be able to quantify the cost of each and every one of these things. And then I think we need to understand from your perspective, what is sort of out of all these things that you're asking for, stack rank them. What's most important? Because you may not be able to get everything you're asking for all in 1 year, from Lisa's perspective. So, thank you.
I would say, I'm not, again, I can't speak for the police, but in talking and doing negotiations with the police, I think the biggest risk, and not the biggest risk for the city, but the biggest risk for us, or the biggest concern, I guess, and the least amount of risk actually for the city, is to allow those members to have that time in January. Again, the only true risk on that for the city is that those people will have to pay back time if they have separation of employment. We're not asking for more hours, so that number shouldn't change when it pertains to cost from the city. Police are getting to the younger side. We're starting to get to the older side, so we're starting to see some movement and people that do see their finish line. As they leave, I don't want to see recruitment problems and maintaining people, because the goal should be to get them here and to keep them here for 20 plus years to get the amount of service that we need out of them. Anytime somebody walks out that door before that, to me, is just lost money for the city. Because then we got to pay to train somebody up, and I don't have to go through all that again, but it's, we got to pay to uniform them and all of that stuff, so it becomes another cost for the city. We're trying to prevent that, and we don't want to see the same problems that police they have had people that have left because of this issue, and we don't want to see people leave because of the way that they accrue time. So I think that would be probably our top thing. I know on their end, and talking to them, that is one that is huge for them, so.
Okay. And I think this is a question maybe for the controller, but do we have, I hear what you're saying, but do we have a recoupment process? Because my experience, and granted, it's been mostly in corporate America, you don't recoup anything. So, it's factored in. Certain financial risks are factored in. If you give somebody time up front and they use it and then they leave, there is a financial risk factor that's calculated in that the company already knows that's a potential loss. So I just want to know, do we really have a recoupment process in place to recoup funds for vacation time that was used and then the person leaves? Do we have a process in place to actually recoup that money? Because we're saying we do, but I just want to verify that we do have it in place.
I can't speak for the city on that. I do know When it comes to like holiday time, they don't pay that out if we haven't, I guess, if we haven't worked past that. I don't know if, I mean, that's one of the things that we talked about in the contract negotiations was that there would be like a contract between the employee and the city saying, you know, basically we're gonna front you the time, but any of the time that if you have separation, any of that time that that you have used that you haven't earned yet, it would come out of your payout. So whether that's sick time or holiday time or whatever.
So see, none of that is in place today. And I'm saying we're saying in the ordinance that we're going to recoup it, but we don't have, from what I'm hearing, and nobody's stepping up saying any differently, we don't have a process in place to make that happen today. So I would be hesitant to approve that language without the process being established, because we're being told that there's no financial risk because we're going to get our money back. Well, are we going to get our money back?
And we know there's additional cost.
So I think I feel like, we're getting nowhere with this ordinance. I feel like we've heard it a couple of times before we went in budget, then we sort of put it on hold so we could see where we were with the budget cycle. But we keep asking the same questions about the cost and we aren't getting any answers. I don't feel like I know anything more today than I knew before we had the meeting at the budget cycle. So the controller, can you get us these costs? Somebody has to be able to give us a cost of what we're being asked to approve.
You know,
So, 1 second. 1 second. We would like for the controller to come forward.
Madam President, councilors,
Hi.
I'm actually just now getting this memo, so I wouldn't be able to speak as to what the cost would be, but I can't imagine that it wouldn't cost the city anything if you're going from, say, 100 to 200.
Yeah.
I mean, anything. I don't know about a world where you get approved time off if you don't have time off. So I'm not aware of any type of procedure that we have to recoup any money that we've awarded somebody and then they leave employment. So.
Okay. Has this plan, Mr. Goodnight, has this plan been discussed with the administration to recoup?
Well, first let me say, this predates me. I did not sit in those contract negotiations. My predecessor made the commitment to send this to the council, and why it wasn't settled. Nick's heard my frustration multiple times, why it wasn't settled at the table. That's just something that I'm not accustomed to through contract negotiations. Usually both sides sit down, they make an agreement. What I'm used to is having a member of the council sit in on negotiations as well, so there's a representative there that can, from that body. The commitment was made, though, by the administration, and we have honored that we would take this and present it to the council for you to make the decision. And we're not going to backtrack on that at all, so it's really been punted to you with that understanding. That's how.
Yeah, so the administration, the only thing that you agreed to is basically to have it brought before us.
Correct.
Yeah, and that
Right.
happened. Okay, and that happened. Counselor Giles, you had a question.
Yeah, no questions. You spoke about when someone gets hurt and they're out for 4 or 5 months, 6 months recovery, and them not having time. And then I just wanted to elaborate on what Councilor Chavis brought up. And I'm not trying to be insensitive, and maybe I've just had jobs that are not as sophisticated, but I thought that's what short-term and long-term disability is for, is so that you pay into that so that that burden is not put on the company. With my own company, I pay a portion of the long-term and short-term disability as part of the package. So that didn't sit well with me because it's kind of like want me to pay for somebody to not have car insurance or something. You know what I mean? Like, we can pay a small, I know, like long-term and short-term disability. I mean, it's 6, 7, 8, 9, you know, it's pennies on the dollar per check. And so I just think that if we think this out, we could protect, maybe as a city, we could just pay a few more bucks towards the benefit package, and then encourage that younger officer to, to take care of themselves, right? I mean, you know, we all get at certain places. I mean, I'm getting at the age now where I have to start looking at long-term disability a little more seriously, right? And so there is some responsibility on the officer to plan and take care of themselves, and there's tools out there to handle that. The other major concern that I'm very, very concerned about, and this is where I agree with Mr. Goodnight about the folks leaving all this open it's a lot. It's not a little bit. And so I think it's very cowardly of the previous administration who negotiated this not to have us at the table, to punt this to us. Oh, was this administration that did it? I thought it was the other one that negotiated the CBA. Well, whoever did it was cowardly, because we weren't there, and there's some significant stuff that has to be negotiated, and it should have been negotiated at the table. And I totally agree with Mr. Goodnight. So now you want me to rule on a bunch of stuff that I haven't really talked about. You want me to do it, I mean, you want us to look at it and move it on. This is committee, but you want me to move it on now. I don't have any cost to what it is. We haven't discussed any options to protect some of those scenarios. It's not that I'm insensitive to some of those scenarios, because I do believe that public safety officers are higher risk and more likely to have, you know, blown shoulders to injuries, you know, from the line of duty, God forbid, and we want to make sure that we protect them. But I also think that this city is not in a place to be able to just totally kind of self-insure that, in a sense. I don't think we could do that today, nor should we do it later, even if we were in a better financial state. I think that there's other tools that we could work together to get that done. And I do believe that as a member of this council, I'm not speaking for the council as a whole, but I do think that I agree with Councilor Chavis in the sense that we haven't gotten anywhere with this because we haven't worked towards any solutions towards, you know, okay, here's problem one. Let's look at what this looks like. Let's look at what this looks like through the work. And so I would encourage you guys to come back to the committee and see if we could work this out with some alternative ways to figure it out, you know, to get something done as easily as, not easily, but as far as if you expect us to front load vacation time. I do agree with the controller too. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not trying to ramble, but I don't think you were saying that you front load vacation time. I guess you do front load it to people who haven't earned it, right?
I mean, kind of in a roundabout, I mean, but there would be a payback clause. I mean, front-loaded is like you're awarded the time, and if they have separation, they get paid out everything.
And see, it bothers me because there's a bad precedent that was set in this city about paying people benefits before they got to the finish line, you know, and I didn't agree with that then, and I don't agree with that now.
Understood.
And so I'm extremely sensitive to that, and so I'm not approving it. I'm not. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Jennings, you have some questions?
Nick, how many times have you been before this council for this topic?
3, 4,
Four or
was I
five
say
times?
3
4?
to 3.
This is ridiculous. It really is. The back and forth stuff is ridiculous. If you make a claim, that it should be, okay, let me back up. You had an agreement with the administration, right? It doesn't matter the turnover or who the current staff is with the administration, if the commitment was there, then why is it that we are sitting here having this conversation when you guys should have got together and got some numbers? We can't make a decision without some numbers. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you guys arrange their time. I'm a bit frustrated because they've come 4 times?
Well, first.
4 times.
Yeah, the commitment.
Come on, man.
The commitment was made to bring it to the council. That was what the commitment.
That sounds like bull.
Well, talk to my predecessor.
I understand,
I
but
didn't agree to that,
I-
and I could say Nick's.
what I'm saying is this, he needs numbers.
Yeah.
Get the numbers.
Well,
Somebody get the numbers.
I think Councilwoman Chavis's comments, if no one if somebody is preloaded and gets that money and they don't leave, there is no cost. Her concern, I think, is they get the paid ahead of time, and then they do leave for one reason or another. and
I'm
then-
sorry, please.
So
I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to cut you off. I don't care. What I care about is just getting the numbers, because we all saying if this or if that, or maybe this or maybe that. This is a complete waste of time. Let's just, if he's right, he's right. If he's wrong, he's wrong. But as of right now, there's nobody in this room will raise their hand and say definitively, it's a good idea and this is why. Or definitively, it's a bad idea and this is why. Please get data. Am I wrong?
Well, that's correct, and the thing I think I just want to,
I apologize.
wanna
I'm just
clarify
frustrated because this
what
is 4 times
Miss-
we're going through this.
with Mr. Goodnight said, you're partially right on what I said.
I'm trying to get.
Yes, you were very close. However, the thing I want to clarify, and I know the controller will be very, very familiar with this, is there's carrying cost with vacation. So it's just not this stuff that's just out there, and it's just like days, and the days are just magical. And there's costs associated with carrying vacation time. So we need to know what that additional cost is to carry, to take the 30-plus officers to front-load their vacation when we weren't front-loading it before. What is that cost? There's carrying costs associated with that. So what is that cost? We need to understand that. The other thing is, when piggybacking what Counselor Giles said, is that, I don't think we've looked at any other solutions. There's pros and cons to doing all this stuff, but we've got to do what's most financially prudent. Did we look at PTO borrow? Okay. There's other things that, other people use to address those concerns that may or may not have a smaller carrying cost for the city. So we need to understand the financial impact of every single one of these things that they're asking for. For 30-plus employees, year over year, how much additional is that going to cost the city and impact the city's
Millions
budget?
of
That's all we really need to know.
Well,
Okay, thank you, Counselor
I got one,
Chavis. We need to move on. We have another meeting in 10 minutes.
okay.
Tyrell, real quick.
Well, so I want to make sure that I'm going to pondering this correctly. The front loading of the deal, okay, that's one part. But did you also ask, what I'm more concerned about is that the hours go from 95 hours to 200 hours?
96 to 200.
96 to 250?
Yeah, so holiday time, they're only currently able to accumulate 96 and roll it over to the next year. We're just asking for that to go up to,
How is holiday time accrued? Like, I don't understand.
250. Instead of getting paid, so most places do time and a half for holidays. We have to work holidays.
Right.
Fires still happen on holidays. And the way the city has done it since I've been employed here is they give us extra days off. So for every holiday, we get a certain amount of time off for those days. So essentially, we get to take our holidays on whatever day we choose.
So it's like is it 9 holidays a year that the city recognizes or something?
I don't
I don't know wherever the minute, so what you're saying is,
It depends on the year.
so
yeah.
let's say it's 10, I'm just looking for the math, and let's say, I don't know, you guys are shifts, I don't know, what is it, 10-hour shifts or something?
24.
Oh, all right, so they count the whole 24 hours.
No, but it's not 24 for each one. We only accumulate, like, so for us, there's 3 shifts, so like, let's say there's 10, they just divide that by 3.
I'm just trying to figure out how many hours a person is accumulating every year, and then they get to roll that over, right? Because what I'm so afraid of, and I don't want to, I know I'm trying to respect the committee, is what I'm concerned about is the burden that we had pre-2019 to why we did this, and it was a serious issue. And so that's why I'm so concerned, guys, and some, you know, my counsel was up here, haven't seen those. So like, you should probably bring also the burden that we already have to you 2019 guys, bring that to the table, because I would think before I add something, these folks need to know what they already owe. And I know it was millions of dollars a few years ago.
You talking
What I owe you, Nick, if you leave here tomorrow, I owe you a couple $100,000.
No, not a couple, but at least one.
In vacation time, what job?
That's-
I mean, I know Barnes and Thornburg lawyers that don't get that kind of buy, right?
Right.
Come on.
So it's,
That's what I'm talking
I
about.
will say, just a reminder, this is for.
That carrying cost is huge.
Every year we get a raise, that number goes up because.
Right, so that's the
payout.
reason why we
So,
cut it off.
This last year, I did all of my figures, and it's estimated for a payout for our city, for our department is $3.5 billion.
For the fire side alone.
The only
And
question,
that's-
the only.
That's
question I-
pre-change.
And that is why it was essential that there had to be a change. Now, that was, again, that predated me. I wasn't involved in the discussion on that. There would have been some changes that, you know, I probably would have suggested before that, but that, again, that predated me.
Right.
But to your point, the 3.5 million today, going from 96 to 200, year over year,
Going back up the,
cost.
You have made a claim that there's no additional cost.
Oh, no, he did make that claim.
No, I said so holiday time is obviously going to be an additional cost. So sick time, that was the one part I did miss on my sick time, is that the payout for sick time would stay at 200. It would not go up to that 600. They're only able to accumulate in their bank that 600 for things like taking advantage of PEP and the buyback time and stuff like that. Things that guys who have the bigger banks were trying to spend those down so the city's not having to pay out these huge checks to people. So we're trying to get them, again, we're trying to get a PEP started this year that allows people to take some of their sick time, put it in their vacation bank, and then put it into a deferred compensation account that's just for medical expenses after employment.
Okay. All
But
right.
all that's an option. That's a choice.
It's a choice, yeah.
Okay. Now we need to make a motion.
I
Any other
make a
question?
motion that
On-
it stays in committee until we have the financial,
So that would be unfavorable?
No,
recommendation?
table.
Table it?
Table it.
Table it. Okay. This would be,
I just want to make sure that the reason why we're tabling is because we have no numbers.
Yeah.
And it's
right,
not, this is
right,
not
that's been
right.
clarified.
For 5 times to come before this council,
Right.
it's not right.
We have no numbers, and then the numbers will have to come from the controller.
Yes.
Because he is not a numbers person, he said that.
Yes.
So we understand that. So we will have, it's going to be tabled, a motion,
Lisa made a motion.
Christie
seconded by Christie. Thank you, counselors. Any discussion? Okay, now we need to vote. Okay, passed. Tabled. Thank you.
Oh, can the controller
Yeah.
approach?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just a little confused, but with all these suggestions, did they not have anyone, when they initially made all these suggestions or for the changes, any financial impact either way?
I think they would have to answer that because we weren't
We weren't
unfortunately
involved.
involved.
Yeah.
During contract negotiations, both Controller Humphrey he was in contract negotiations, and then Baker Tilly also worked with the contract negotiations. So I don't have any of those numbers. That would be,
But did they have them?
I would think
Because
if
why
they
did they
were-
table it?
Yeah.
Why did they make the decision to table it? If they thought it was favorable and it was no big deal, they would have just included it and we wouldn't be here today. So there's a reason why these specific things were left out.
Let's get this.
Somebody's,
Let's get that data.
Baker
Let's go
Tilly,
get that.
Baker Tilly, since they're the only ones left, that was part of the negotiation, can someone please contact them and see if they have the numbers? And if they do, provide them to
Baker
us.
Tilly is done with the city. They're actually doing the budget for the utility side. But if Baker and Tilly was working for the city at the time, they should have.
The
There
files.
should be,
Yeah,
Yeah,
So you can make contact with them.
yes.
Thank
ma'am.
you.
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. No, no, yeah, we're going to the next.
No, we got Russell.
Yeah, yeah.
We won't.
Very quickly, I hate to rush this, but next we will have resolution number 8.
We'll just push Russell.
Yeah,
We'll just push the council
Got
back.
2 minutes.
yeah.
No, you
Yeah.
just push the council meeting back.
Yeah, we're not gonna, yeah, I mean,
How do we do it?
you either have to table this or,
Okay, so it has to be tabled. I am so sorry.
Both of them are tabled.
You have to table it?
that's what the legal counsel just
Oh.
said.
Sometimes it won't,
And look-
it won't be heard at the 6:30 meeting. That's what you made.
Yeah, we could do that. We could move it to, you can move it to the 6:30.
Can we do, hold on,
Ready?
hold on.
How we gonna do it?
Sure.
Can we move that to the council meeting?
Yeah. Yeah,
It can be moved.
yes.
Okay. I'm gonna take the authority.
Yeah.
I am going to move Resolution 8 to the council meeting. Thank you so much. This meeting has been adjourned.
Absolutely. Oh, we already heard it at the last one. We just